And welcome back to Side 2. This is Phillip with you again, with some local sports news now. Saracens overcame a slow start to ease to a 23-10 victory at home to Exeter in the Aviva Premiership on Sunday. Although they had the strong wind behind them in the first half, Sarries was second best in the opening 20 minutes and fell behind when Ian Whitton scored a try which Gareth Steenson converted. But the hosts hit back and levelled the scores prior to the interval as James Johnson forced his way over the line and Charlie Hodgson added the conversion. A Steenson penalty restored the visitors' advantage early in the second half, but Sarries then took control of the contest with Schalk Brits scoring a try to put them ahead for the first time. Hodgson again converted and went on to add 3 penalties to seal an ultimately comfortable triumph. For the first 20 minutes we were lethargic, said the director of rugby, Mark McCall. We were poor and Exeter dominated. It's not like us, and we were a second off in every aspect. But I thought that we played really well after that. The set piece was the difference between the sides. Our scrum and line-out were outstanding, and we mauled very well. The control that we had in the second half was very pleasing, especially seeing as though we were playing into the wind. We were disappointed to lose to London Irish 2 weeks ago, and to respond in the way we have is what we needed to do. Saracens go on to Bath on Friday. Ellenborough Table Tennis Club's Denise Payet took top honours in the girls' under-13 category at the Jack Petchey Foundation North London Finals. The Enfield County School pupil, who's represented England, held off competition from a number of players to seal the top spot, and the 12-year-old, who's shown in a picture next to this article holding her medal and a very nice big red racket, said, "I love the people and the coaches. I enjoy this competition because I know the school is really proud of me when I win." The event brought together 77 students from 21 different schools in Barnet, Enfield, Haringey and Waltham Forest. Winchmore Hill saloon car race ace Malcolm Wise received the Jackson Trophy and Trent Park Trophy at the Greenbelt Motor Club's annual awards dinner on Saturday. Driving his yellow and white Ford Escort Cosworth, which is sponsored by New Southgate firm Chandu Taylor and Son, Wise competed in the 2013 Quaife Motorsport News Saloon Car Championship. Wise managed to finish in the top 3 in over half of the 14 races that he entered. The Trent Park Trophy is the club's toughest championship and is awarded to the driver who produces the best performance across 15 events. After 3 successive defeats, Chris Evangelou's bout against Dan Carr on Saturday had extra significance. The Flash needed a win, and he got it. "I'm really glad to have broken the curse," he admitted, while light welterweight Chris celebrated an important victory at York Hall. His brother Andreas was watching on, frustrated. The light heavyweight was due to face Sam Cousins on the same show, but had to pull out of the fight due to illness. So it was a night of contrasting emotions for the 2 brothers from Enfield, who train at Edmonton Eagles Amateur Boxing Club. "Nobody will know that feeling when my hand was raised," Chris said. "After the 3 defeats, it was like things were snowballing. I knew I would win when I stepped into the ring. I was really confident as soon as the cameras went on me. I didn't feel any of the nerves that you usually get with a fight. I had this aura of confidence." While Andreas was pleased for his brother, he was understandably disappointed with his own misfortune. "I didn't get paid because I didn't fight, and I spent money on training camps to prepare," he said. "I was gutted because I'd trained for 2 months for the fight. I even trained on Christmas Day, New Year's Eve and on Valentine's Day, and ultimately I couldn't go into the ring and fight. I'm still undefeated, though, which is important, but it has set me back 2 or 3 months." Andreas felt run down at the start of the week, and his trainer, Don Charles, allowed him most of the week off in order to recover. The 30-year-old arrived at York Hall on Saturday intending to fight, but after speaking to Charles and his doctor, the contest was called off. "I've never had to pull out of a fight, and I didn't want to. It was just a case of being intelligent about it," he said. "I was hoping for a win that would put me in the top 20 fighters in the country. That obviously hasn't happened, but it's better than going into the ring and just being beaten up." Andreas plans to have some time off before returning to the ring at the start of the summer. Chris believes his victory can reignite his title hopes. He said a fight for the vacant British title is a possibility, but only once he's taken a break. He said, "I'm taking some time off and will be going to New York to relax my body and mind. I'll come back, speak to my coach, and then see what happens. I've fought for titles before and have done 12-round fights, so I'm confident enough to go for them." The two brothers are trained by Charles, and 28-year-old Chris thanked him for his hard work over the past 3 months. He said, "Don has become a big part of our careers, and we've never met anyone like him. So we really want to thank him for the work he has put in with both of us." Tottenham Hotspur legend Ledley King attended an open day for teenagers interested in studying at a new technical college by White Hart Lane Stadium. Spurs has teamed up with Middlesex University as joint sponsor of the new University Technical College in High Road, Tottenham, which will open in September. The college will specialise in the technology of science, illustrated through sport and health, and will be sited alongside the club's new stadium development scheme. Spurs is currently recruiting Year 10 and Year 12 students for the next academic year, and invited teenagers to visit White Hart Lane yesterday to see some of the activities that the new curriculum will offer. Those attending were able to get to grips with some of the latest technology developed at Middlesex University, where students have recently had the chance to work with Moritz Waldemeier, designer of the innovative costumes for the likes of William, Rihanna and Ellie Goulding. Mr. King, a former Spurs captain and England defender, joined the college's head teacher, Debbie Ram Harpley, to talk to kids about the school. Donna Maria Cullen, the executive director of Spurs and director of Tottenham University Technical College, said the project-based learning at Tottenham UTC will give students the opportunity to become part of a new generation of forward thinkers. Those who join us next September will leave normal behind and could end up creating something that could be used at the next Olympic Games or in the national health system. The opportunities are endless. For more information about the new Tottenham UTC, University Technical College, visit www.tottenhamutc.co.uk. And some theatre news now. Hollywood, a dark, smoky evening in the late 1940s. A striking socialite is ushered into a detective's office, searching for her beautiful but bad stepdaughter. The plot thickens when the girl turns up in the detective's office, and he's framed for murder. All the glamour and drama of film noir will fill the stage at Bernie Grant's Arts Centre this week. A 30-strong cast of final-year drama students from the top London drama school Mount View Academy of Theatre Arts, based in Wood Green, will bring the award-winning musical City of Angels to Tottenham audiences. The comic jazz dazzler of a musical, which first opened on Broadway in 1989, features gangsters, showgirls and movie stars, with music by Cy Coleman and lyrics by David Zippel. It weaves together two plots: the real world of frustrated writer Stein, who's trying to turn his book into a screenplay, and the real world of fictional crime drama film about a detective named Stone and a missing girl wrapped up with the mob. The two realities clash, sometimes with hilarious consequences, against a backdrop of murder and intrigue, as the characters fight back against their struggling author. The musical is an homage to the film noir genre of motion pictures that rose to prominence in the 1940s, and will showcase the skills of the latest raft of young hopefuls from the Academy, whose alumni include Amanda Holden and Michael French. Tessa Gillett from the Academy says the students are in their final year and about to enter the professional acting world. City of Angels has been chosen because it's full of challenging and complex roles that will show them off at their best to the industry and the general public. And the show is on at the Bernie Grants Arts Centre, Town Hall Approach Road, Tottenham Green, Thursday March the 6th to Saturday March the 15th. And for details you can ring 020-8365-5450. That's 020-8365-5450. And now some comment piece by Howard Medwell, who writes under the banner Left Side. Is the weather political? Even when occasionally it stops raining, you'd be wise to put on your wellies before shopping in 4 Street, Edmonton, especially if you're planning to use the pedestrian crossing near College Gardens. Our flooded pavements, of course, tell you more about Enfield Council's attitude to Edmonton than they do about global warming. Enfield has been lucky enough to observe this year's floods from a respectful distance, but local place names such as Enfield Wash and Freezy Water remind us that we too are living on a floodplain. Edmonton was a beauty spot in the 18th century, precisely because it was near the waterside. In William Cowper's John Gilpin, there's a reference to the wash of Edmonton so gay. Up until last month, it was the climate change deniers, including mainstream politicians and journalists, as well as UKIP cranks, who did all the shouting. However, the key question is not, why is the climate changing? But what are we going to do about it? Can we hope for effective flood defence policies in a country where everything depends upon the profit motive? Money's no object, cries Prime Minister David Cameron. He forgets that, in super-capitalist Britain, money is the only object. I'm sure that prospective sandbag millionaires are already placing their orders in good time for next winter's floods. Present-day flood victims don't just lose their homes, they lose their lifetime's investment, their provision for their children and their old age. This is the downside of our property-owning democracy. Yes, the weather is political. And now some letters, and this one is from B. Gleeson in Enfield, and is titled Farcical Game of Snakes and Ladders. Poor old Chase Farm Hospital, once top of the range with its tennis courts, swimming pool, lovely little houses for staff with green fields, flowers, views, space, and the old clock tower, plus an extremely thriving Friends Association which helped enormously. The first knife in the back was when it was sold down the river to share the huge rebuild debt for Barnet Hospital. Then a chunk of land was sold off for expensive homes for the wealthy, any profit obviously not helping Chase Farm. Now it seems the Royal Free will cream off a chunk with another land sale, maybe even before it is in charge. It's reported in the Enfield Advertiser on February the 12th that it has a £7 million surplus, while Barnet was given £23 million to help its accident and emergency prepare for the loss of facilities at Chase Farm, whose deficit was £16 million. It all seems like a farcical game of snakes and ladders, except it's this huge loss of easily accessible and familiar services for a wide area. Let's hope this doesn't lead to the disappearance of the hospital altogether, to be replaced by an enormous gated housing development. And another letter, this from Christopher Achillia of Bush Hill Park. I was very interested by your front-page article, Motorists Being Driven Out of Enfield. I'm an Enfield resident and have worked in transport planning for 9 years. I understand that shop owners are wary of any change, but this change could be a great move for Enfield Town and increase business. The whole area would be much more appealing to shoppers on foot, and there's evidence that cyclists are more likely to stop and make impulse purchases than motorists. In my opinion, the parking at the north end of the high street makes this area look scruffy and deters me from visiting these shops. The cars hide the shop fronts somewhat. There's a great opportunity to link this end of the high street to the library and bring it to life. How about changing the title of your article to Plans to Make Enfield Town a Wonderful Place to Shop and Enjoy Yourself? Fortune favours the brave. And now back to local news. 3 men have been jailed for their part in a cocaine and money laundering ring. Nurtil Curie, aged 28, of Ecclesbourne Close, Palmer's Green, and Gent-Jan Mataj, aged 24, and Brickel Mataj, aged 29, both of Linkside Gardens, Enfield, who were members of what police described as a highly sophisticated crime network, were jailed at Maidstone Crown Court in Kent on Friday for conspiracy to supply cocaine and money laundering. Curie was jailed for 8 years and 3 months for conspiracy to supply cocaine and 15 months for money laundering, with the sentences to run concurrently. Gent-Jan Madach was sentenced to 7 years behind bars, and Brickel Madach was jailed for 18 months for the same drug charge, and both were handed a 15-month jail sentence for money laundering. Their sentences will also run concurrently. All 3 men had pleaded guilty at an earlier hearing. Curie and Gent-Jan Mataj were arrested in East London on the 22nd of July 2013, after officers had stopped them in a car in Plaistow. They discovered 7 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of £1.6 million, concealed in a sophisticated hidden compartment which could be accessed by a switch in the armrest in the back passenger seat. Later the same day, officers raided an address in Linkside Gardens and found a hydraulic cocaine press, a money-counting machine, and cash. Brickel Mataj was in the property at the time and was arrested. Officers found £15,980 in banknotes and cannabis with a street value of £9,000 hidden in a nearby vehicle. Further searches at Curie's home address unearthed £1,435 in euro notes and £43,000 in cash, while 2 packets of cocaine with a street value of £200,000 were found at an address in Canning Town, East London. Detective Inspector Steve Miles from the Met's Serious and Organised Crime Command said, "There is no doubt that we uncovered a highly sophisticated crime network involved in the distribution of drugs and money laundering on a large scale. This investigation prevented £1.6 million worth of a harmful Class A drug making it onto the streets of London, and 4 people will now face a long time behind bars. Residents and businesses are being urged to do everything they can to foil metal thieves by properly safeguarding valuable tools and other metalware. Enfield Council has launched an awareness campaign because a significant rise in the value of metal means items such as metal ladders and children's bicycles are becoming highly desirable for thieves. The council spent more than £300,000 in the past year replacing metal stolen from roads, while a further £25,000 has gone on metal fittings stolen from parks since 2010. The local authority is urging people to mark and register valuable metal property so stolen items can be returned if they are recovered by police. People are advised to engrave their name on ladders, tools, and large pieces of equipment such as cement mixers, keep a photographic record of everything, and padlock items if they are unattended. The council is also advising residents to paint tools in a bright colour and not leave metal items in front gardens. Residents are further warned to be wary of thieves posing as council or utility workers, and not to buy cheap tools in the street from people they don't know. Chris Bond, the Cabinet Member for the Environment at Enfield Council, told the Enfield Advertiser, "The effects of metal theft are far-reaching and a vast number of people will have been affected by it. Residents and commuters are inconvenienced by the theft of metal from railway tracks, and fly tipping often happens when metal thieves dump unwanted bits of items they've stolen. We want to help catch the idiots responsible for committing metal theft and also encourage residents to take care of their metal goods. You wouldn't leave a brand new mobile phone in your front garden, but many people wouldn't think twice about leaving an expensive metal ladder lying there. That's an open invitation to thieves and an opportunity they are unlikely to pass up." As well as issuing advice and guidance to residents, the council has been working with Enfield Police to reduce metal theft through roadside stop and search checks on waste carriers, and by carrying out unannounced inspections on business premises suspected of handling stolen metal. For more information on how to register your metal goods, visit www.immobilise.com, the National Property Register, which helps police to identify the owners of lost and stolen property. A husband and wife culinary team helped to spice up a celebrity chef's daytime TV show. James Bim and Nicola Adeji started producing their homemade range of African-inspired sauces and condiments 3 years ago. And as the business goes from strength to strength with stockists as far afield as America and the United Arab Emirates, they were courted by BBC bosses to appear on James Martin's Home Comforts show on Monday. While the couple is still a 2-man band coming up with their products in the kitchen of their home in Green Lane's Palmer's Green, their reputation on the artisan food circuit has grown as they rack up awards and orders continue to pile up. And after a fan of their food recommended them to BBC researchers, they were chosen to demonstrate what local producers are capable of on the programme. The couple were filmed making one of their most complex recipes, African Baobab chili jam, making sure they had enough to pass on to James Martin afterwards. Acknowledged that being contacted by a TV show is a sign of how far the family firm has come in 3 years, James said, "We're a lot bigger now than when we started out. We have stockists all over the UK, as well as America, France, and the United Arab Emirates, and our sales have grown so much." But he admits that they're still a kitchen sink operation and need a cash boost if they're to properly scale the dizzying heights of getting their products on supermarket shelves. An investor for Bim's Kitchen, the company, would be a godsend, he said, adding that despite their growing popularity internationally, they're still unable to convince banks to lend them the necessary funds to grow their business. But we're just going to keep going as we're doing what we do best, trying to get people interested in African food. After recording, the couple slave over their hot stove, the film crew moved on to film customers tasting chili jam at Baskerville's tea shop in Alderman's Hill, Palmer's Green, one of the first places to stock the African-themed products. And more food news now. Seasonal produce freshly plucked from the earth just a few miles from home will soon be available to the veg lovers of Palmer's Green. After Enfield residents wholeheartedly embraced the 40-hall veg box scheme, farm manager Kate McGeever has announced that from March the 19th, subscribers will be able to pick up their bag of fresh veggies from Baskerville's tea shop in Alderman's Hill, Palmer's Green. The project was started before Christmas by 40 Hall Farm as a way to get people buying the organic seasonal vegetables straight from the grounds of the farm in 40 Hill. When the project was launched, subscribers could only pick up produce from locations close to Forty Hall. Now the scheme is slowly spreading through the borough. Baskerville's tea shop is the latest place to pick up either a small, medium or large bag of freshly picked local seasonal vegetables. Kate is modest about the scheme's success and admits the middle of winter can be quite a tricky time to source exciting seasonal produce. The bags will be filled with produce from local farms, and now it means that people keen to support local producers don't have to travel right to the north of the borough to pick up their veg. Anyone wishing to sign up to the scheme can register at www.enfieldveg.co.uk. The passage of spring at the farm will not only be marked by the first bags of seasonal vegetables, but it will also include a one-day course to teach people the ancient art of lambing. It will take place at the farm on Saturday, March the 15th, and Kate says it's ideal for anyone thinking of studying veterinary science, or even those who want to set up their own smallholding in the style of Tom and Barbara Good in the 1970s sitcom The Good Life. We've run lambing days at the farm before, but this is a chance to spend a whole day learning and helping with sheep in labour, learning to see when a sheep is about to give birth and being able to spot if the labour is difficult, she said. Places on the course cost £50 per person, including an organic lunch and refreshments. There's a maximum of 10 places, and you can contact Forty Hall Farm for more information about that. Fascinating. A slightly different training programme now in our next story. A training programme aimed specifically at providing culturally specific dementia support for South Asian residents suffering from the condition is starting next week. As part of its information programme for South Asian families, the Alzheimer's Society in Enfield is piloting 4 weekly training sessions for families, carers and residents at Trinity at Bowes Church in Palmerston Road, Palmers Green, starting next Wednesday. The new programme, funded by Lloyds Banking Group's Live Well campaign, aims to provide culturally tailored knowledge, skills and understanding to support people with the condition. All sessions will be attended by Urdu and Hindi interpreters. Peter Todd, the operations manager for the Alzheimer's Society for North West London, said, "A diagnosis of dementia can be a scary and confusing experience, yet cultural factors such as language and families' close-knit bonds can make it harder for South Asian families to reach out for information and advice. Many people don't know that there is support available to them, let alone how to access it. This programme provides much-needed guidance and help towards understanding dementia and knowing how to reach for support at the right time." Research by the Society has found that people from Black and Asian communities are more likely to develop early-onset dementia and have a higher prevalence of vascular dementia than their white British counterparts. The organisation has also found that these groups tend to seek access to dementia services later, which can have a negative impact on families, as they may have struggled at home for some time without support. People interested in attending the sessions should contact Margaret Dempsey at the Alzheimer's Society on 020 8732 6750. That's 020 8732 6750. Edmonton MP Andy Love has hailed the work of London's mobile tuberculosis unit after paying a visit to the service. Mr Love met health workers at NHS Find and Treat service last Monday on a visit to the homeless shelter at Beck House in Upton Road, Edmonton. The service targets vulnerable homeless people and other vulnerable groups and has a mobile X-ray unit where people can undergo a scan and talk to volunteers about seeking diagnosis and treatment for the disease, which is caused by bacteria which typically attack the lungs and can kill if left untreated. Last year, Public Health England figures revealed that levels of the disease in Edmonton are nearly triple the national average. Meanwhile, Upper Edmonton and Edmonton Green wards have far higher rates of tuberculosis than many nations in the developing world on the World Health Organization's list of countries, which account for the bulk of TB sufferers. It's estimated that 41 people in every 100,000 in Edmonton are affected. It was really useful to be able to see firsthand how the service is working to make an inroad into TB diagnosis and treatment, said Mr Love. However, it's a hugely stretched service, and incidences of TB in parts of Edmonton are still alarmingly high. Unless the government really pushes for a coherent cross-departmental policy on tuberculosis, we will be unable to achieve a reduction in infections. The service, which is run by University College Hospital London, is funded by a number of London clinical commissioning groups and has an annual budget of £772,000. Dr. Alistair Story, who coordinates the service, said, "Find and treat is a highly effective and essential frontline service to control tuberculosis. London is the TB capital of Western Europe, with more cases annually than Holland, Belgium, Greece and Norway combined. It's an airborne disease, and we share the same air. Without find and treat, cases of tuberculosis would remain undiagnosed in the community and infect others." Last year, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, evaluated the service and found it to be highly cost-effective. The body has recommended it is expanded into all major urban centres in the UK, and that people making use of the service are also offered testing for other infections, such as hepatitis C, hepatitis B, and HIV. Planning committee members were expected to approve the expansion of an Enfield school. Arc John Keats Academy in Bell Lane welcomed 60 primary school pupils to its school in September 2013. If approval is given to build on the site, the school will take on a further 180 pupils this September. Formerly Albany School, it plans to demolish its old sixth form centre and the design and technology block to make way for 3 new 2-storey buildings. The existing buildings and car park will also be refurbished. Principal Jerry Collins said, "It has been really exciting to work from the bottom up on this project and see our designs come to life. So far, we've taken on primary school pupils, but once planning is approved, we'll be taking on our first batch of new pupils in 2014 and the first nursery pupils in 2015. At full capacity, the school will have 1,940 pupils from nursery to 18 years old." Mr. Collins said, "It's a lot of pupils, but have the ability to see pupils develop the whole way throughout the school is fantastic, and we'll be there every step of the way to give them the very best education they fully deserve." The Enfield Borough Council planning meeting was due to be held at the Civic Centre last Wednesday. Shoppers gave council officers tips on how to help turn Edmonton into a thriving town and encourage people to ditch their cars in favour of bikes. The corner of Church Street and Victoria Road was turned into a community hub as Enfield Borough Council officers, together with charity Sustrans, spoke to residents about their views. DIY Streets Edmonton is one of the first community-led projects of its kind in the country and is supported by the National Lottery. It aims to create a safer way for for children to travel to school by foot or bike to promote healthier living. People were keen to share their opinions, with many saying they would like to see flower baskets, more dog bins and less litter in the area. Veronica Conti, who works for the charity Sustrans, said, "It's important for people to become active in changing their area because the community knows better than we do. They are experts after all. There's so many schools around here, and having safer streets for them is essential. One of the main points we want to address today is cycling." Trevor Stone of Bounces Lane and Enfield is a keen cyclist and motorcyclist who's supporting the Safer Streets campaign. He said, "By improving the roads, we'll encourage more people to cycle to school. It's a great way to stay fit and healthy." And we've now reached the end of our programme for this week. Thanks very much for bearing with me and listening to the single voice throughout the whole 60 minutes. Hopefully we'll be back again with our usual broadcast next week with Janet and Keith and Team A. So from me, Phillip, on the controls, reading and producing this week, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet, and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with the Enfield Talking newspaper. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.